that fella's horse?
Well, I got a lumbago.
Hello, fellers. How are you doing? Uncle has always been one of my favorite characters from the Red Dead Redemption series. I particularly like his jolly and kinda silly side mixed with moments of wisdom and acumen. I also appreciate his RDR1 counterpart, where he's more grumpy and disillusioned, which seems kinda odd considering how chill he was just some years before, but we'll come back to this later. Now I'd want to point out how Uncle had a very sympathetic and analytical side which remains hidden and is easily missable, to be honest. There are at least two specific moments where he shows not only how he was right about Dutch and Micah, but that he has the steel balls to point out their inadequacies in front of everyone. Listen to this.
I just read something.
That's the problem with you, Dutch. Always reading. Always been an issue with you.
Not with you.
I got common sense. I don't need to read. In fact, I need not to read. It pollutes the mind.
Does it?
Yeah. I've seen it do it to you.
I'd be careful, old man, that court jester act doesn't wear a little thin.
That's his problem. In one. He wants to be an American king. With his knights.
I heard that.
Ooh.
I want no such thing.
You do?
I don't. I just want better than this for us.
Better? Your kind of better.
Oh, I can't stay mad at you, old man.
Okay.
But right now, I'd like to kill you.
Put me out of my majesty, your misery.
Away with you!
There. You see, gentlemen? There goes the greatest man we know. Even he's lost. This is the age of being lost.
Uncle is straight up spitting facts, and Dutch confirms it with that awkward laugh. Now, I don't agree with everything he said, but he's basically right. For example, not all books pollute the mind, but in Dutch's case they did. Also, we have to understand the other piece of dialogue because I think it's deeper than it looks. Many people would think Uncle is saying that Dutch doesn't really care about anyone but himself. I think it's a little more complicated. Could be confirmation bias, but I reckon Uncle has a vision of Dutch pretty similar to mine. He's been with van der Linde for a lot, he respects him, and knows that the feeling is mutual. But on the other hand, he knows Dutch is an egocentric individual and a manipulator. He knows that, despite all the effort Dutch can put to care about others, the first place would always be himself. So I don't see the king metaphor as a way to insinuate that the gang members are cannon fodder for Dutch, rather that they are in an inferior position than him and that Dutch wants them to live his way, not theirs. Otherwise it would be stupid for Uncle to admire a man who doesn't give a shit about him. Uncle manages to figure out that the times they're going through are changing his boss and making him feel lost, and that couldn't be truer. Alright, second scene.
You're a wrong man. A wrong man. There's something not right with you.
Are you talking to me, old man? Mind your manners.
I've minded them long enough.
None of our problems is my fault. None at all. So you watch your damn tongue.
Me and Dutch go back a long way.
Andy feels bad for you. That's why you're still here.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that things ain't got no use, should be put out of their misery.
You just tried, huh?
Was only joking, old man. Don't go and wet your bed again. Because you're the one person in this whole goddamn bunch who does nothing but profit from everyone else's work.
That ain't true.
You're the first person I'd kill.
Well, the feeling is mutual.
To be fair, at that point it wasn't difficult to see Micah was a rotten son of a bitch. Still, Uncle, along with Pearson, is one of the few people making it clear. Obviously Micah hates Uncle because he sees him as a parasite, very hypocritical considering the real parasite is Bell himself. Literally, he stuck to his prey like an infected tick and left it when there wasn't anything else to eat. I think Micah doesn't really understand how Uncle managed to stay alive until that point because of his crappy view of the world, so he's probably jealous of his happiness, or maybe he just dislikes his laziness. Speaking of that, saying this man is lazy is a little too simplistic. I think his laziness comes from the fact that he is tired at this point. Remember that he had to grow up without his parents, in the Wild West, and he reached a remarkably old age for those times. Moreover, he actually does something, especially in the first game where we can clearly see him helping taking care of the ranch. It's also true that he left it to rotten when John was taken away by the feds, so we can't really say he likes working, but hey, at least he does something. He seems to have done many things in his life, considering he can handle guns and rifles, he knows how to take care of a ranch, cattle and plantations included, and he's quite used to robberies. In 1907 he hasn't changed a bit. Despite everything he's gone through, he's still playful and witty. It's from Epilogue, though, that we can see the beautiful love-hate relationship with John. Here he acts as the voice of reason for John when Abigail or Charles aren't there. Kinda weird, but not so much considering how stupid Epilogue John is. In the first game, instead, there was a fantastic dynamic between the two. Sometimes John mocked Uncle for his laziness or carelessness, while the old man pointed out John's mistakes and advised him not to get into trouble like in the mission by sweat and toil.
Since you're still alive, there's 4 mouths to feed. And no cattle.
That's a nice way to greet somebody. Why don't I get the warm and tender embrace?
Consider the fact I ain't put a bullet in you, your embrace, old man. You were supposed to look after the place.
I may sound repetitive, but I want to focus on this. Uncle changed a lot from 1907 to 1911 with no apparent reason. He shares the same problem as John. It's like if the writers wanted to create a different character but didn't really care to tie it well to its original counterpart. In John's case, his prequel alter ego is bland and basically sucks. While I think Uncle is well written, the matter is between the two games. Asserting that he changed in those 4 years is simply far-fetched, unless he started developing some form of dementia or mental illness like depression that made him change. There are no big events suggesting or promoting a change in the 1907 to 1911 time span. People change after bad or tough experiences, not during stable routine years. In my opinion, they should have made his development much more slow, leaving him as he is in 1899 and making him a little more disillusioned about the world in 1907, to end with his 1911 counterpart. If you think about it, Uncle's happiness could be a way to cover a deeper suffering, originated by his disappointment and feeling of perdition in a changing world which is making all the old values vain. The 20th century is the one described by writers like Joyce or Svevo, full of insecurities and angst, the one of the 2 most terrifying wars ever fought in human history, completely different from the utopia his mentor ranted about.
Even he's lost.
That's paradox, John.
Despite all of this, Uncle is still a loyal and caring man. He does not hesitate a bit when he sees the bloody army coming after his family, and he defends it until he can. He is most probably one of the few truly good men the van der Linde gang has ever had. He's really everyone's uncle.